Welcome to the CCG Museum for this short terminology video. In this series, intended for newcomers to the CCG hobby, we explain basic terms one may commonly encounter. For today's video, we will be discussing tapping. Tapping is one of the most common gameplay mechanics that can be found in CCGs. There are plenty of CCGs that don't use tapping as a mechanic, but many, if not most of them, do. The purpose of tapping a card is in order to use it for a specific action or ability. This is usually demonstrated by rotating the card 90 degrees, but other methods exist as well, such as rotating the card 45 degrees, 180 degrees, flipping the card over, or putting a token on the card. When you tap a card, it normally becomes unavailable for any other use until it becomes untapped, usually during a specific phase during a player's turn, or via the use of a different card. The first game to use tapping was, of course, Magic the Gathering, but many other games also use the mechanic. However, very few games that use tapping actually call it that. Some do, but most of them are published by Wizards of the Coast, and most games not published by Wizards of the Coast use different terms. Sometimes a game uses a more generic sounding term, sometimes a game will use a term that is meant to fit in with the game more thematically. The following is an incomplete list of terms that basically mean the exact same thing as tap. Activate, boot, bow, commit, crank, drain, dull, exert, exhaust, kneel, pivot, rest, roll, rotate, set, side, suspend, tack, tilt, and use. In 1995, Wizards of the Coast filed for a patent for a trading card game method of play. I am not a lawyer and cannot comment on all the implications of the patent. What I can say is that part of the patent filing described tapping as part of the described method of play. And this led to a lot of fear that Wizards of the Coast would begin suing anyone else who had put tapping into their game, or force them to pay a licensing fee in order to use tapping. While the patent was granted in 1997, I'm not aware of Wizards of the Coast having actually pursued legal action towards anyone merely for using tapping in their game. Again, not being a lawyer, I could not comment on whether or not they would have grounds to do so. All I know is that they appeared not to have any desire to do so, despite many games being released that used tapping. In any case, the patent expired in 2014, and anyone who might have been worried about the patent breathed a sigh of relief. However, to this day, there still exists the idea that Wizards of the Coast's patent was about tapping itself, instead of tapping being a portion of a patent that covered much more than that. So now you know what tapping is. Thank you for attending this terminology lesson. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of the video, and what terms you might like us to explain in the future. Have fun out there, and always remember to cut the deck.